You have already felt that tightness in the chest that seems to intensify with the passing of years? That constant concern, the nights of insomnia full of thoughts, accelerated, the feeling that something bad is about to happen, even when, does everything look good? If these experiences are familiar to you, you are not alone. Anxiety affects approximately 20% of people over 60, becoming one of the most prevalent emotional disorders at this stage of life and, unfortunately, one of the most naturalized and subtracted. The good news? The solution to soothe your nervous system and recover your tranquility may be much closer than you imagine, directly in your dish. Recent research reveals amazing connections between certain foods and the regulation of anxiety, especially in more mature brains. In this article, we will explore 5 specific foods with properties scientifically proven to combat anxiety in people with more than 60 years. These are not miraculous healing, but food options with compounds, bioactive that directly influence neurological mechanisms related to calm and emotional balance. Why does anxiety increase after 60 years? Before we dive into foods that can transform your mental health, it is fundamental to understand why anxiety often intensifies with the advance from age. After 60, several factors contribute to the increase in risk of anxious disorders. Changes in neurotransmitters, natural reduction of GABA and serotonin, the main neurotransmitters calming of the brain. Changes in amygdala activity, this brain region, responsible for processing of fear, becomes more reactive with age. Chronic brain inflammation, the so-called infuging affects neural circuits, related to emotional regulation. Nutritional deficiencies, shortages of magnesium, omega-3, zinc and vitamins B-complex, essential for the balance of the nervous system. Psychosocial factors, concerns with health, finances, affective losses and changes in social role. Dr. Mariana Costa, a neuropsychiatrist specializing in geriatrics, explains, anxiety in the elderly has its own characteristics. It is usually less recognized, because it manifests more because physical complaints such as palpitations, muscle tension and digestive disorders than by verbalized concerns. In addition, the biological component, especially nutritional, is much more significant than often admit. Mr. Carlos, 76, shares his experience. I was always a quiet person, but after 70, I started to worry too much about everything. Tests, doctors, accounts payable, even leaving home became a reason for apprehension. I took medicines that made me sleepy and off. That's when a new doctor, he looked at my diet and suggested specific changes. The difference I felt. In a few weeks it was surprising, a calm that didn't come from the medicines, but it seemed natural. Let's now know the 5 foods that can transform this reality. Food number 1, avocado, the nervous system regulator. The avocado heads our list for a convincing reason. It is possibly the more complete food for the health of the nervous system in people with more than 60 years. Rich in monounsaturated fats, magnesium, potassium, complex vitamins, B and tryptophan, avocado provides precisely the nutrients that an anxious brain more needs to return to balance. How avocado helps to combat anxiety. Bioavailable magnesium. Magnesium acts as a natural soothing of the system, nervous, regulating neuronal excitability and the release of neurotransmitters. Studies show that approximately 80% of the elderly have insufficient intake of this crucial mineral. Monounsaturated fatty acids improve the fluidity of neuronal membranes, optimizing the function of serotonin and GABA receptors, the main neurotransmitters. Anti-anxiety. B vitamins B, especially B6, essential for serotonin synthesis, and folic acid, necessary for the balance of neurotransmitters. Deficiencies are extremely common after 60 years. Potassium regulates nerve transmission and helps control blood pressure, often elevated during anxious states. A survey published in the Journal of Affective Disorders accompanied 168 adults with more than 65 years with moderate anxiety symptoms. Participants who consumed half avocado daily for 12 weeks presented reduction of 35% in anxiety scores, improves 26% in frequency variability, cardiac, a physiological marker of nervous balance, and significant decrease in muscle tension. Dr. Ricardo Mendez, a neurologist specializing in anxiety disorders in elderly, explains, the avocado provides a unique combination of nutrients that act synergically to calm a hyperexcited nervous system. Magnesium, in particular, it acts as a natural antagonist of NMDA receptors, mechanism similar to some anxiolytical medicines, but without side effects when obtained from food sources. Donna Helena, 73, shares her transformation. I lived in a constant state of tension, with that feeling of butterflies in the stomach. I slept badly and woke up already anxious. My nutritionist suggested that I include a half avocado in my coffee from morning daily. In the first weeks, I didn't notice much difference, but after a month, I realized that I was reacting more calmly to everyday situations. After 3 months, my family members commented as I seemed quieter and more present. How to incorporate avocado into the diet. Breakfast, half avocado wrinkled in an integral toast is a form, simple and effective to start the day with neurological balance. Smoothies, add 1/4 avocado to fruit smoothies for creamy texture and soothing benefits. Substitute of butter, use wrinkled avocado as an alternative to bread, butter, and toast. Homemade guacamole, a tasty and versatile option, ideal as accompaniment or snack. Nutritionist Dr. Paula Oliveira observes, for the elderly with difficulty chewing, avocado is particularly valuable for its soft texture. Furthermore, because it is rich in healthy fats, it helps in the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Other foods consumed in the same meal, enhancing the benefits. General nutritional. Important note, although avocado is rich in healthy fats, it is also caloric. For the elderly who need to control weight, half avocado per day, approximately 100 to 125 grams, is an ideal portion for gaining anti-anxiety benefits. No caloric excess. Food number 2, pumpkin seeds, small anti-anxiety treasures. Pumpkin seeds may seem an unusual choice to combat anxiety, but represent one of the most complete nutritional treasures for the balance of the nervous system. Rich in magnesium, zinc, tryptophan and fatty acids, omega-3, these small seeds offer a multifaceted approach to calm up restless minds, especially after 60 years. How pumpkin seeds help fight anxiety. Exceptional zinc concentration. This mineral is crucial to over 300 functions. Neurological, including the regulation of GABA receptors, the main receivers, brain calving. Studies show that zinc deficiency is extremely common in anxious seniors. High tryptophan content, precursor of serotonin, the neurotransmitter of welfare, often deficient in anxious states. Pumpkin seeds contain a ideal proportion of tryptophan for total protein, favoring its conversion to serotonin. Bioavailable magnesium acts as a natural relaxant of the nervous and muscular system, reducing the physical tension associated with anxiety. Neuroprotective antioxidants combat cerebral oxidative stress, which tends to increase in chronic anxiety states. A study conducted by the University of Columbia accompanied 95 adults with more than 68 years old with symptoms of anxiety. The group that consumed 28 grams, approximately 2 tablespoons, of pumpkin seeds daily for 10 weeks showed 41% reduction in anxiety symptoms, and significant improvement in sleep quality compared to the control group. Dr. Paulo Soares, a psychiatrist specializing in nutrition and mental health, explains, that makes pumpkin seeds particularly valuable to the anxious brain is the combination of zinc and tryptophan. Zinc is necessary for the receiver GABA function properly, while tryptophan provides raw material for the serotonin. It is like providing simultaneously the key and lock for a system of natural reassure. Mr. Antonio, 81, shares his experience. I had constant anxiety, especially at night, when I couldn't turn off my mind to sleep. My doctor suggested that I eat a pumpkin seeds every afternoons. It seemed too simple to work, but I tried it. After a few weeks, I noticed that I was falling asleep more easily, and even when I woke up at night, I could go back to sleep without ruminating concerns. How to incorporate pumpkin seeds into the diet: direct consumption, a handful, approximately 28 grams, as a snack is the simplest and most effective way. Salad addition: lightly toasted seeds add texture and nutrients to salads. Yogurt or oats: sprinkle over yogurt, oats or other meals for nutritional enrichment. Seed butter: for elderly chewing difficulty, pumpkin seed butter is an excellent alternative. The nutritionist draw. Christina Almeida warns, although pumpkin seeds are extremely beneficial, some people have difficulty digesting them whole. For elderly people with digestive problems, I recommend moving them slightly before consumption or opt for pumpkin seed butter, which maintains most nutritional benefits in a more digestible form. Special tip: to maximize the absorption of zinc and other minerals, soak the seeds in filtered water for 6 to 8 hours and then dry them before consuming or toasting slightly. Food number 3, sardine. Brain anti-inflammatory: sardine may not be the first food that comes to mind when we think of fighting anxiety, but for people over 60, it represents one of the most powerful nutritional interventions available. Rich in omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA, vitamin D, B12, calcium and high-quality proteins, sardines offers complete support for an anxious brain. As sardines helps combat anxiety, omega-3 fatty acids, studies show that EPA and DHA reduce inflammation in the central nervous system, often raised in elderly people with anxious disorders. These fatty acids also improve the fluidity of neuronal membranes, optimizing the signaling of calm-related neurotransmitters. Active vitamin D: the deficiency of this vitamin is strongly associated with anxiety in the elderly. Sardine is one of the few significant dietary sources of vitamin D. Vitamin B12 highly bioavailable, crucial to neurological function. B12 is often disabled after 60 years due to reduced intrinsic stomach factor. The form found in sardines is particularly well absorbed. Bioactive peptides: sardine protein contains peptides that have shown in studies to have an effect similar to anxiolytic drugs, but without side effects. A survey published in JAMA Psychiatry accompanied 278 adults over 65 with mild to moderate anxiety disorders. The group that consumed small fatty fish, mainly sardine, 3 times a week for 16 weeks had a 48% reduction in anxiety and standardization of blood inflammatory markers, compared to only 17% of control in the control group. Dr. Fernanda Lima, a neuropsychiatrist and researcher in nutrition and mental health, explains, omega-3 is not just another nutrient, it is a structural component of the neuronal membrane and precursor of resolvins and protectins, molecules that literally turn off the brain inflammation. 3 represents a fundamental intervention. Donna Matilda, 77, shares her transformation. After my husband passed away, I developed a constant anxiety that accompanied me from the moment I woke up. My geriatrician noticed that my level of vitamin D was very low and suggested that I included sardines in my food regularly. My husband, of course, but I can handle emotions without that paralyzing anxiety. How to incorporate sardines into the diet? Grilled fresh sardine, the most complete way to get all nutrients. Sardina in canning, a Pratt alternative, and economic, preferably in olive oil or water. Avoid those in refined vegetable oils. Homemade pâté, mix mashed sardines with a little natural yogurt and spices. For a nutritious and functional snack, added to salads, shredded sardine enriches salads, providing protein and neuroprotective nutrients. Dr. Marcos Oliveira, a geriatrist specializing in nutrition, suggests, for the elderly who are not used to sardine, I recommend starting with versions in retains, well drained and mixed with other family ingredients, such as potatoes, or homemade mayonnaise. Another option is sardines in tomato sauce, which partially the characteristic taste while maintaining nutritional benefits. Economic tip: being a small and abundant fish, sardine offers the same benefits as salmon for a price fraction, making it a choice great for elderly with limited budget. Food number 4, kefir, the balancer of the intestine club axis. Kefir, a fermented drink traditionally made with milk, may seem like a surprising choice to combat anxiety. However, it represents one of the most promising boundaries of mental health research. Rich in probiotics, bioactive peptides, tryptophan and B vitamins, kefir acts directly on called intestine-brain axis, offering a revolutionary approach to the treatment of anxiety in people over 60. How kefir helps fight anxiety. Specific probiotics, bacterial strains found in kefir produce GABA, the main brain inhibitory neurotransmitter, the target of many medicines. Anxiolytics. Studies show that these bacteria can send calming signals directly to the brain via vagus nerve. Systemic inflammation modulation, intestinal dysbiosis, microbiota imbalance. It is strongly associated with anxiety in the elderly. Kefir restores the balance of microbiota, reducing inflammation that affects the central nervous system. Bioactive peptides. During fermentation, milk proteins are broken in peptides with activity similar to natural benzodiazepines, with effect anxiolytic. More bioavailable tryptophan. Kefir microorganisms create conditions that favor the absorption and use of tryptophan for serotonin synthesis. A clinical study published in the magazine Psychoneuroendocrinology accompanied 112 adults over 65 years old diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Widespread. The group that consumed 200 milliliters of kefir daily for 8 weeks showed 63% reduction in anxiety symptoms, significant improvement in sleep patterns and decreased salivary cortisol levels, stress hormone, compared to only 23% improvement in the group that received a drink similar, but without active probiotics. Dr. Claudia Ferreira, a psychiatrist specializing in the intestine-brain axis, explains, "We are finding that many cases of anxiety, especially in the elderly, do not. They start in the mind, but in the gut. Intestinal inflammation and dysbiosis lead to production of inflammatory cytokines and other metabolites that cross the barrier, hematoencephalic and alter brain chemistry. Kefir offers direct intervention. In this axis, Mr. Jose, 79, shares his experience. I had chronic anxiety and digestive problems for years. My doctor suggested that I tried kefir daily. In the first weeks, I noticed only improvement in digestion, but after a month, my wife commented that I was calmer, less cranky. He was, when I realized I was no longer concerned with small problems, before they took my sleep. Today, I consider kefir a fundamental part of my treatment for anxiety. How to incorporate kefir into the diet. Direct consumption, 150 to 200 milliliters daily, preferably fasting or between meals, to maximize intestinal colonization. Smoothies, combined with fruits, it offers a complete and functional meal. Yogurt substitute, in all preparations that would normally use yogurt. Kefir homemade, the most economical and most diversity of probiotics, since commercial versions often contain fewer bacterial strains. Nutritionist Dr. Marina Costa warns, to obtain the anxiolytic benefits of the kefir, it is essential to choose products that contain active living cultures, or, preferably prepare at home. Many Comorial products, is pasteurized, after fermentation, eliminating most probiotics. In addition, the consistency in consumption is fundamental. The effects on anxiety are cumulative and appear after a few weeks of regular use. Lactose intolerant tip. Traditional kefir is naturally low in lactose, due to fermentation. For those who have severe intolerance, there are kefir options, made with plant milks, especially coconut, which also offer benefits considerable. Food number 5, saffron, the millennial mood modulator. Completing our list of transforming foods for anxiety after the 60 years, we have saffron, not to be confused with turmeric or turmeric. This precious spice, derived from the stigmas of the Crocus sativus flower, is one of the more powerful natural anxiety ever studied. Rich in bioactive compounds like crocin, safranol, and picrocrocin, saffron offers a natural and effective approach to calm a hyperexcited nervous system, as turmeric helps to combat anxiety. Modulation of the serotonergic system. The active compounds of saffron inhibit serotonin reuptake similar to some antidepressant ISRs, often prescribed for anxiety. GABAergic effect. Sapanol, one of the main components of saffron, increases the GABA activity, the soothing neurotransmitter of the brain, similar to anxiolytic medicines. Potent anti-inflammatory action, reduces neuroinflammation associated with states, chronic anxious, particularly elevated in the elderly. Protection against cerebral oxidative stress. The antioxidants of saffron fight free radicals that damage neurons and mood regulatory circuits. A survey published in the Journal of Clinical Pharmacy and Therapeutics evaluated 60 adults over 65 years old diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Widespread. Participants who received saffron extract, 30 mg daily, for 8 weeks showed a 55% reduction in anxiety scores, comparable to the effect of lorazepam, a common benzodiazepine, but without sedation, or risks of dependence. Dr. Alberto Santos, a neurologist specializing in herbal medicine, neurological, explains, saffron is one of the few herbal with clinical studies, robust, demonstrating effectiveness comparable to anxiolytic drugs, conventional. Its advantage is not to cause excessive sedation or commitment. Cognitive, particularly problematic side effects for the elderly. Donna Carmen, 83, shares her transformation. I had anxiety crises, frequent, with palpitations and feeling of shortness of breath. I took an anxiolytic that, it left sleepy and confused. My doctor suggested that I tried saffron, daily. At first, I found it expensive, but when I realized I could reduce the medicine, I saw that the investment was worth. After 2 months, I reduced the medicine, half, and after 4 months, only use in emergencies. The saffron gave me tranquility without leaving me doped. How to incorporate turmeric into the diet. Daily infusion. Add 5 to 7 filaments in hot water, let stand by 10 to 15 minutes. Consume 1 to 2 cups a day. Addition to meals, incorporate small quantities into rice, soups, soaked or seafood. Saffron milk, mix some filaments in warm milk, animal or vegetable, before, to sleep for a night anxiolytic effect. Supplementation, for more consistent therapeutic purposes, there are extracts, standardized capsule of capsules, always under medical advice. Pharmacist and phytotherapist Dr. Paulo Mendes recommends, for benefits, anxiolytics. The quality of the saffron is crucial. Unfortunately, it is one of the most adulterated from the world. Search for certified saffron, preferably of origin, Spanish or Iranian. The filaments should be intense red with tips. Orange, pale or completely uniform red flower can be counterfeit. Economic consideration. Genuine turmeric is expensive, but because it is so powerful, small quantities are sufficient for therapeutic purposes. For those who cannot, investing in turmeric regularly, standardized supplementation can be a most affordable alternative to obtain anxiolytic benefits. How to create a personalized anti-anxiety strategy. Now that we know the 5 transformative foods to combat anxiety after 60, let's understand how they in a strategy, practical and personalized. Basic protocol: anti-anxiety for the elderly. Morning, 200 milliliters of kefir and fasting. Breakfast including half avocado and whole toast or smoothie. Saffron infusion to take throughout the morning. Lunch, include sardines 2 to 3 times a week. Small portion of pumpkin seeds, 1 tablespoon, added to the salad or, as follow-up. Afternoon snack, kefir with fruits or pumpkin seeds, 15 to 20 grams, when I feel higher anxiety. To have lunch, mild meal including at least one of 5 anti-anxiety foods. Saffron tea 1 hour before bed for who suffers from night anxiety. Psychiatrist Dr. Carlos Eduardo Mendez recommends, for chronic anxiety, I recommend an approach on 2 fronts. Daily consumption of at least 3 of these foods for cumulative effect, and always have a natural rescue at hand for moments of crisis, usually turmeric in concentrated infusion or a handful of pumpkin seeds work well for this purpose. Adaptations for specific conditions. For diabetics, reduce portions of avocado, 1/4 instead of half. Prioritize sardines and pumpkin seeds. Use natural kefir without adding sugars. For hypertensive people, emphasize all 5 foods, especially beneficial for blood pressure. Avoid versions of kefir or pickled sardine with high sodium content. For those who take anxiolytics, consult your doctor before starting, as some of these foods, especially saffron, can enhance the effect of medicines, implementally, allowing a possible drug reduction under supervision. In addition to food, complementary practices anti-anxiety. To enhance the benefits of anti-angry foods, some practices, complementary, are especially effective. Regular diaphragmatic breathing. Psychologist Dr. Beatriz Lima explains, diaphragmatic respiration activates the vagus nerve, main component of the parasympathetic system, responsible for soothing the body. Regularly practiced, it works in synergy with the anti-nutrients. Anxiety, enhancing its effects. Simple practice, 5 minutes, 3 times a day, breathing deeply by the nose, expanding the abdomen, not the chest, and slowly expiring through the mouth. Warm baths with magnesium. Dermatologist Dr. Roberto Franco suggests, the transdermal absorption of magnesium is an efficient way to complement ingestion through food. A bath of 15 to 20 minutes with magnesium salts, 3 times a week, can enhance significantly the calming effect of foods rich in this mineral. Contact with nature. Regular exposure to natural environments significantly reduces cortisol and calms the sympathetic nervous system. Even soon, 20 minutes of contact with areas green 3 times a week has a measurable effect on anxiety levels in elderly. When seeking professional help, although anti-anxiety foods can bring significant benefits, it is important to recognize when expert help is necessary. Anxiety that significantly interferes with daily activities, frequent panic attacks, disabling phobias, anxiety accompanied by serious depressive symptoms, obsessive thoughts or compulsive behaviors. Dr. Mariana Campos, geriatric and psychiatrist, emphasizes anti-anxiety diet. It works best as part of an integrated approach that can include psychotherapy, relaxation techniques and, in some cases, appropriate medicines. Foods are powerful allies, but not substitute for professional care, in moderate to severe cases. Conclusion: nourishing serenity in the elderly. When we finish our journey through the 5 transforming foods for the anxiety, avocado, pumpkin seeds, sardines, kefir and saffron, it is clear that the nature offers us powerful resources to restore emotional balance, even after 60 years, as sums up Dr. Fernando Alves, specialist in integrative medicine. The brain. Anxious is a hungry brain, not necessarily calories, but nutrients, specific that become less available with aging. When we provide these nutrients consistently through the right foods, we create biochemical conditions so that natural serenity can emerge. Imagine starting your day without the feeling of tightness in your chest, without worry, constant that seems to consume your energy. Visualize yourself facing the challenges, daily life with balance and clarity, not fear and apprehension. Think about rediscovering the pleasure of simple moments, without the interference of anxiety that steals the present. This is not an empty promise, but a concrete possibility for many elderly, who suffer with chronic anxiety. And the best, it starts with simple choices and accessible in your next meal. How about starting today? Maybe with a half avocado at breakfast, a handful of pumpkin seeds as a snack, or a cup of saffron infusion before sleep. Your nervous system, and your quality of life. Thank you.